and come back to Japan. This process has 5 stages, which is like this, which is on the screen, and your handouts and the textbook. So I'd like to go through these 5 stages. First of all, acceptance and integration. This is actually about the content of the first, last of the, the first word of the presentation, like Yuri said about that. But I can't ignore this to explain all these ones, because when you go abroad, you can settle yourself down with this stage. Routines will establish in another culture and get used to in a different culture. At this stage, you get comfortable with living with other culture, and you accept being in different cultures. And second of all, return anxiety. After getting used to being other different cultures, you will go through the horrible situation. This is the stage you start seeing differences between the home country and different culture. So you get confusion and worry, especially about disrupting friendship or family that you gain before going to abroad. So we get nervous about going home. And third of all, return honeymoon. You will go home sooner or later, which leads me to say this stage. This is the most troublesome stage, because you will get both excitement and difficulty in your own culture. When you go abroad, you find the idea of living abroad very hard. You will have difficulty, communicating or through whatever you see and whatever you think, whatever you meet, and so you can figure living in your own country is quite easy, and sometimes you can forget the problems of your own country. But no but. So you'll come back with a lot of excitement. But things change. When you go home, you will be surprised. Things are different from what you think before coming to Japan. Because when you living abroad, you're almost about to getting used to being different cultures. So when you get to Japan, that means you're right between in different culture and your home culture. And at the end of this honeymoon stage, you're gonna get into reentry stage, which is reentry shock, also means like that. At this stage, you reject being in your own country. If you're a short-term traveler, this is gonna last a long time. At this stage, you will be very pessimistic and critical of your own culture. You care about even little small negative things, and you can consider yourself depressed. Your family, your friends don't understand what you feel. You can feel like alien when you come back to Japan and confused with surrounding conditions. And after getting confused coming to Japan, you're gonna get into reintegration. At this stage, you assimilate and slide back into your own culture. You have a little problem when you're on the stage, which means you're almost well adjusted again in Japan and fully involved with family or friends or even activities. You can realize the positive and negative aspects of both countries, and you can think of yourself balanced finally. So next, Seiko will give you discussion topics.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about my experience, re-entry entry shock. Also, I have presented two discussion topics, so I'm gonna talk about this next. Okay, first I'm going to talk about my own experience. I haven't lived in other countries, so I can't explain this. Much. But I've stayed in other countries for 1 month or 3 weeks or whatever. So now I'm going to talk about it. When I go back to other countries, when I go back to Japan from other countries, I get sometimes confused. For instance, at the Narita airport, people are almost kind of the same race, but the States or Egypt, France, wherever, there's so many kind of people. So about races, also in other countries, people smile to strangers on the street or whatever. So, but in Japan, they don't. So it's a bit sad for me. Also, in other countries, people are expected to express their opinions in conversations or whatever. But so I try to express my opinions a lot, as much as I can. But in Japan, if you express your own opinions too much, you are supposed to be bossy or you can't recognize the atmosphere of the conversation or whatever. So that's my experience. Next, I'm going to talk about these two discussion topics. First, re-entry adjustment cycle. Also, culture adjustment in a new country. These two, there's some similarities. So I'm going to talk about it. Maybe, as you know, going to the new country and try to adjust yourself is like you're riding on a roller coaster. Also, but at the same time, I think their adjustment cycle is kind of similar to the roller coaster in relationships, as you can see the graph diagram. So it's pretty similar. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you accept your own culture or the new culture, whatever, and sometimes you hate it. So it's really similar. Next, I'm going to talk about refugees. Do you know what refugee means? Yep. People who has to leave their own country because of political reasons or whatever. And refugees basically have no chance to go back to their countries. So they have no re-entry shot. They can't go back to their own countries. So I'd like to compare them with business people or international students in a new country. So refugees, they can't go back to their country. So when they are in a new environment, new country, they try to adjust themselves very hard as much as they can because they can go back to their countries. Also, they try to learn the new language very hard. And even if there's already the community of refugees. For instance, a person from Afghanistan go to the States as a refugee, and actually in the States there's some towns or communities of Afghanistans, and even if they can make a living in the community, a lot of refugees try to learn a new language in the States because they can live in the community, so they don't have to learn English or But when they go to post office or do some paperwork or go to supermarket, they should know language. English. So basically, refugees try to learn the new language very hard. Also, as for international students, they try to learn that language very hard because otherwise they're gonna fail to keep up classes. And as for business people, for instance, a Japanese businessman go to the States and work in there. If they work at a Japanese company in the States, they might not learn the language very hard because they use Japanese in there. So also, if they have family, when they go back home, from work, and they speak Japanese at home, so people don't learn language much. But as for business people who speak English at work, of course they learn the new language. Also, just try to adjust themselves in a new culture or new environment. So these are my opinions of these discussion topics. So next movie is conclude our presentation.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our presentation. If I can briefly summarize, the cultural re-entry adjustment can happen to anyone who returns to his or her own country from abroad. However, its effect is not as big or serious as culture shock you feel when you arrive at a foreign country. In conclusion, it might be hard to reintegrate into your own country society at first, but it also gives you a chance to recognize your own country from a new, different viewpoint. It means cultural re-entry adjustment can broaden your horizon. For example, if you realize something new about your native country in the process of cultural re-entry adjustment, it helps you to understand your own country more deeply. We think the experience of going abroad makes you be aware of your own country too. Moreover, as Seiko told you before, refugees don't even have a chance to get back to their own country and experience the cultural re-entry adjustment. If you think about it from this viewpoint, we can regard the cultural re-entry adjustment as something happy. So, if you have an occasion that you suffer from the cultural re-entry adjustment in the future, we would like you to think that it also has advantages. Okay, we hope that our presentation has been useful. Are there any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, we'll finish there. Thank you very much.